What's up, crew? I had a light bulb moment with my blood sugars that I want to share with you guys today. If you've ever struggled with time and range, keeping blood sugars consistent or stable as somebody living with type 1 diabetes like myself, today's episode is going to be for you. We're going to open up the toolkit, start talking about what little strategies we can implement that are going to make big differences. Easy effort, big returns. All right. I got a story for you. And before we get into it, I got a theme song I want to share with you, and we'll hop right in.
I've spent the last 10 years pushing the limits while identifying trends and patterns in my type 1 diabetes management. Follow along as I learn, apply, and share the fitness, nutrition, and lifestyle strategies that I've learned from diabetes experts around the world. The real question is, how can we live fearlessly with diabetes while maintaining stable blood sugars? This podcast is here to give you the answer. My name is Matt Vandevecht, head coach and co-founder of FTF Warrior, and welcome to Pardon My Pancreas.
All right, so with it being Christmas time, at least if you're watching this as I'm recording it and uploading it, it's Christmas lights everywhere. We got presents and Christmas trees and decorations and carolers and just kidding. There's actually no carolers. I kind of wish there were, but I'm also glad there's not in the same sense. Anyways, I was over at my parents' house. My dad was tweaking his Christmas lights outside, kind of playing with them. And I was like, what are you doing? You know, is it okay? And he said, well, Matt, there's a broken bulb somewhere. Can't quite figure out exactly where it's just yet, but when I do, it's going to fix the whole thing. I was like, what do you mean fix the whole thing? And he's like, well, it's broken. You know, you can't see it because it's daytime, but at night, more than half of the lights don't even turn on. Whereas yesterday, they did all turn on. So there's some kind of an issue with the electrical circuit. There's an issue somewhere along the line that's causing a disconnect and, of course, yielding undesirable results with half of the lights on his house not turning on. So I'm watching him kind of go through piece by piece. He's inspecting the lights in a very particular manner. It made me curious, and I asked him about it because this is actually the first year that I have ever put up Christmas lights on my own house. If you don't know, we did bought a house earlier this year, and lots of firsts. It's been very fun for us, kind of learning about home ownership and all that. But putting up our first Christmas lights, I've never run into this before. We had to buy our first batch of Christmas lights, for example. It was completely new. So as he's walking me through this process, you know, he's got decades of experience putting up Christmas lights and dealing with things like this, where half of the strands just don't work all of a sudden. And he told me, Matt, it's usually going to be one specific bulb where either the fuse went out, the wires were cut, the circulation of the electric currents are off, or he went into more specific details than I'm aware of. I'm no expert in electricity. Shocking, I know. I had to. But he's explaining all these different pieces, but he's like, usually, Matt, it boils down to one specific problem where if you fix it, the rest of the line lights up, everything's back on track. So it's not that half of the house is broken. It's that there's one broken piece, one missing link in the chain, where if we can fix that one problem, whole thing's done. Easy fix, right? The issue is you got to know which one to fix because there's hundreds and hundreds of bulbs to deal with, right? And he doesn't have the time to go through and inspect every single fuse of every single bulb and all the circuitry and all this kinds of stuff, right? But he also explained that, you know, Matt, you got to remember, sometimes it really is as simple as remembering to plug it in. When you have a big house, there are multiple strands of lights and they plug together. Sometimes it comes unplugged and you forget to check the basics. And you're over there checking the microscopic fuses and seeing if they're all connected when, oh, look, there's the plug. We forgot to put them together, right? So it was this great reminder and this amazing crossover with diabetes. As soon as he mentioned the hundreds of bulbs, but it's usually just one, my mind instantly switched over into diabetes realm, right? You think about all the different factors that impact blood sugars and stability and what causes the dropping of a blood sugar, what causes the spiking of a blood sugar, what's going to help us to stay more stable. What are the strategies or the tools that we want in our toolbox, our diabetes toolbox, in order to lower our A1C or improve our time in range or be able to tackle a pizza for a meal, right? Like, what are those specific strategies going to look like and how do you find them? And that was the big key component that he was sharing with me was you got to know what you're looking for. And in this case with the Christmas lights, I did not, I have no idea what to look for, but he, as this experienced individual who has been doing this for decades, was like, here's what you look for. Oh, look, there it is. Boop, it's fixed, right? And it was like a 15-minute thing. Whereas for me, it would have probably taken me days, and I probably would have given up and paid someone to fix it for me or just bought a whole new set of lights, right? Because I wouldn't have known how to fix it, especially not that fast. So as we're looking at these light bulb moments with type 1 diabetes, there's going to be moments where you cross into something. You'll hear something that I say or that your doctor says or somebody else, and it's going to click in your head. My clients talk about this all the time. They're going through our programs, like I just put my head down and do the work, do the work, do the work. It feels like I'm making progress, but just not as fast as I would have been. And then boom, all of a sudden, 100% day, 99% day, 100% day. And all of a sudden, the strategies that we teach them just click. And they found that light bulb. They found the one that connected the pieces, right? And oftentimes we're able to kind of spot check that. As they're going through the programs, we can look down from kind of the bird's eye view and isolate like, hey, this might be your light bulb moment. Go try this, right? And it allows us just to pick apart which of the hundreds of things that can impact blood sugars are going to be the one thing, right? So instead of searching through all the light bulbs for your one light bulb moment, it's like, hey, it's either this one or it's that one because of this and because I see that. Go try it. And then click. It all makes sense, and then we get that light bulb moment, and it truly is a magical thing where just like the house, all of it lighting up all at once when it was fixed, the life, the strategies, the control over blood sugars, being able to actually manipulate blood sugars, for example, is so fun, and it really is that magical moment where the whole house lights up. So as I'm talking through this strategy, kind of sharing this epiphany that I had, this literal light bulb moment with my own diabetes, it took me nearly a decade to have my first 90% time in range day. Now, part of that reason is because for the first, 7 years of having type 1 diabetes, I didn't even know what a CGM was, right? A continuous glucose monitor. Of course, now I wear one on my arm. I've got all the information I could ever need, right? Before that, I didn't know what was happening with blood sugars. But since then, it still took a few years for me to get to a place where I hit my first 90% time in range and following that 100%, but then learning what kinds of tips, strategies, and tools I needed in my diabetes tool belt in order to hit 90% consistently. And that was a tricky part, right? That did require some expertise, some dedication, and some research to figuring out how to do that. But what I wanted to share with you alongside, having your light bulb moments and seeking that, you have to know which of the light bulbs to start working on, right? Yes, you can go light bulb by light bulb, blood sugar variable by blood sugar variable if you want. It will take time, and I can tell you that from personal experience. I did go through every single blood sugar variable that I could possibly think of. There's a list of 42. I compiled a list of over 50. There's a lot to consider. You can do that, but that did take me multiple years of dedicating my life to that. I literally quit my job to do that and only that, research blood sugars for years. It was wild. You can do that, but I don't want you to have to do that, right? So in this whole process of isolating which of the light bulb moments you need to have to get to 90% time in range, you got to have either a guide or a blueprint to follow in order to figure out what you're doing, right? With the light bulbs, my dad, he taught me how to find the light bulb. Or I could probably find a book on that somewhere and go learn about electrical engineering and figure it all out myself as well, right? But the idea behind it is if I can find a shortcut, if I can have a 2-minute conversation with my dad and he can just teach me, right? Hey, here's the answer. I'm going to choose to do that because I prefer results over my own efforts if I can. I want to learn from somebody else's mistakes. And so as you're learning about how to improve your time in range, I want you to think about all the variables that are part of your diabetes equation, right? When you look at your diabetes math, we'll pick one variable, insulin, right? That's something we all have in common, right? A really interesting part about insulin is it's not just how much do you take. It's when do you take it? It's how does it interact with other variables? It's do you delay the bolus? Do you set temporary basals? How is that going to impact the activity? Like it interweaves itself into a lot of different things. So even just looking at one light bulb, there's multiple different paths that you can take in your process of understanding diabetes. So because that's so complicated, there's literally, insulin, activity, sleep, temperature, other medications. There's so many things that go into this. What we wanted to do is to simplify the entire process for you. And we did. And we ran this incredible challenge in the past. It was called Fix My Blood Sugars Challenge. And the really cool part is we figured out which of those light bulbs were most consistently implemented across the board for all of our clients over the years to hit 90%. So the goal of that challenge was to prove out the process that we can actually guarantee 90% time in range. What's even cooler, it worked. Everyone in the challenge was reporting that it was working for them, either hitting 90% on their first day, second day, third day, whatever it was, or seeing such massive improvements that they were well on their way to hitting that 90%. We had somebody report that in, I think, 2 or 3 days, they had increased their time in range by 40%. And of course, we're well on their way to that 90% goal they had set. So if getting to 90% is something that you either have not done yet or have not been able to consistently predict on a day-by-day basis and get to where I'm at, where I'm able to say I'm at 90% and have been on average for years, right? Like it's just stuck in the 90 percentages because it's controlled now, right? If that's something that you think will be helpful to have guidance with, so you're not testing each of the hundreds of independent light bulbs to find your light bulb moment finally, right? You can actually follow that proven blueprint. We're reopening the Fix My Blood Sugars Challenge for the general population because now we know that it works and we want to share that with you. So if getting your light bulb moment on the fast track, right, and not having to search through a decade of information like I had to, I want you to go to fixmybloudsugars.com. There's an S on the end, it's plural. Fixmybloudsugars.com. The challenge, you're going to get access to everything that everybody else got that got them to their 90%. And people, it was an incredible experience. It truly was. People were tearing up at the end of the challenge because for the first time in their life, they felt like they had control over their blood sugars. And I want that for you as well. So for the new year, we're opening it up. We're letting people in again. It's going to be a limited cohort. We can't let everyone in all at once. So it will be first come, first serve. But if that page loads and it doesn't say it's a wait list, you can actually still jump in there and you'll get instant access to the trainings, to the homework, to the community of the other people just like you who also got that 90% and the secrets that they used as well, the strategies, the tips and tricks. So if you're looking to have your first or your next light bulb moment with your blood sugars, to get to that place where it clicks and you get it, I want you to go to fixmybloudsugars.com. Join us over there. It's going to be a blast. And to prove to you that I practice what I preach, again, I've been posting these for months. This is my last week's average. This is my current average, right? I got 93% time in range over the last week. As you can tell, it says it's a 2% decrease, which means it was even better the week before, right? And that's consistent. For me, that's just expected. And I want to get you to a place where you can also expect 90% or greater time in range. We literally guarantee it in this challenge. So head over to fixmybloudsugars.com. Have your light bulb moment, your epiphany, your aha, whatever it is, because I guarantee you there's one light, one electrical circuit, maybe even just plugging it back in, that's holding you back from living your best life with type 1 diabetes. And you deserve that. So just like everybody else already did, head over to fixmybloudsugars.com, grab your spot in that challenge. And I can't wait to see you in there and accomplish that 90% together. Have an amazing rest of your day. Merry Christmas, if you're watching this at the same time that I'm making it, and Happy New Year. Keep up the fight.